Welcome in to the Jordy Culotta Show. Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up.
The line's wrapped around the stadium.
Different strengths. Mm-hmm. I just lost a tooth.
It's going to be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing.
Orgeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
But a lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to.
He look crazy, Bill.
Good feet on the old man.
Definitely come back.
We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. Welcome in to a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, built by our friends over at RMB Builders, Ret Bourgeois. It's better to be safe on that button, Stewie, than to hit too early. So I appreciate your style, brother. I appreciate your style, man. I appreciate your style.
Even on this platform.
RMB Builders, RMB-Builders.com, and you can always find them on social media on Instagram. Check them out at RMB Builders. Great Instagram. Katie is here, the carpoolless queen.
No.
Is here.
Damn.
Tuesday.
Is that what it's going to become now?
I don't know. I mean,
you are carpool.
That's probably not the greatest nickname, and it does probably cut a little bit. So I'm not trying to.
Every morning I feel sad.
I kind of feel it.
I would be happy.
I kind of feel it. I think you come in here with a little bit of a.
Wait till you're driving your kid to school every day.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then quit driving your kid to school.
Oh,
every day. You get to, like,
Stewie-
Already in therapy.
Yeah, Stewie did
Oh, goodness.
Stewie did post a picture of his kid. Look back at him. He was in the batter's box. And he looked up to see if Stewie was there.
I
And
saw
Stewie was
it.
filming them. So watch yourself.
Yeah.
That's a good
Watch
thing.
him get in
UND.
a car
It is,
and drive and look back to see if you're there, and then drive off, and you have no idea where they're ever going anymore.
No, it's a very scary
It is.
place that you're entering. I am dreading it.
Yeah, you
Stewie's
should
a
be.
long way away from it. I'm getting closer to it every day.
But boys are
couldn't be
different,
farther.
right? I mean, like, I went to get gas with Sophie yesterday. Like, I don't want her doing certain things by herself, like sketchy areas.
God,
Like, you're not going to
Katie,
be like that with
you,
boys.
you got it bad.
I get it. You have it.
Wait, tell her.
She's been
You got
driving
it
for
so
2
bad.
weeks. Like, come on. If she's a girl, I don't want her to go into a gas station
What?
alone. I don't like to get gas
agree.
alone. You know this.
I love it. I mean, I'm
I
with
respect you for that.
Well, then,
Katie.
I think she did.
Did David
she
ride with his
call
daughter
you?
to the gas station?
Did he what?
Did he ride with his daughter to the gas station within the first couple of weeks?
She does go with a parent to the gas
I
station.
like that.
Yeah, she actually
Well,
does.
didn't she not know how to get gas?
Yeah, the other day when her friend was with her.
They don't teach you that on the driving
she
test.
texted me,
didn't?
Sophie, I have your debit card and I kind of need gas. Is it okay? Me and Eloise can stop and get some. And I said, have you and Eloise ever pumped gas before? No.
No.
Like, okay.
Never a bigger testimony
luck.
than Episcopal High School. Than that one right there.
Exactly.
Thing of all time.
They should have sent the content creator over to the gas station.
And just
you want
watch.
to know about Episcopal? Here's what you get at Episcopal. You may be able to speak 2 languages by the time you graduate. Get into any college in the country. Get over 30 on your ACT. But if you got to pump gas on a Monday, you are screwed. You and your classmates.
How does this
we could send
2022
two. We could send 2 of you over there.
How many Episcopal girls it takes to pump gas?
We got an 8.0 grade point average between the 2 of them, and they can't find a gas tank on a Range Rover.
Push to start.
I think
You have to
I
push
think
the
if
button,
we were
open
like,
the gas pump.
I thought it was self-sustaining.
Should I Google it? Sure.
I mean, probably like some pumps are different, right?
Yeah,
Some you have
right.
to do
No,
things,
there's
some you don't.
zero. I mean, go to Oregon where they pump it for you.
It would be different if we were in like a small town like San Francisville or something, and I was like, yeah, go right there to the corner and get gas. But I mean, y'all know where we live.
I did watch a
like,
video of a girl trying to pump gas into a Tesla.
I saw that.
No.
I saw that.
She was like,
She was-
she like pulls up to the pump, like gets everything out. She gets the
Oh,
pump and
that's
she's like,
sad.
I don't know.
And she pushes it and it shuts immediately because it like won't
right.
let you
Yeah,
get
absolutely.
gas.
Like,
Thank God.
do not do this.
Yes. It was immediately like, nope.
The car's like,
Get out of here.
Yeah. Exit only. Not there.
Don't
No.
touch it.
Don't touch it.
Y'all,
That's right.
y'all will never know the fears of being alone at a gas station as a girl. So
That's not true.
No,
2023.
Yeah, I
you,
agree.
you will never know what it's like to be a girl alone at a gas station. What do you mean that's
I
not
respect
true?
that. I understand what you're saying.
No, I do. I definitely respect that. I respect that. But
get
I
scared.
tell you, one of the, I mean, like, one of the scariest I've ever been in my life has been at a gas station by myself. You know the first exit when you get out of New Orleans, pretty much when you get off the
I should have
the
gotten
Ponce
gas
train,
earlier exit.
the Laplace
Yeah.
exit,
Yeah.
with that gas station off to the right.
Yes.
This is
It's
the
all
last
right.
last
I
call.
mean, like, this is it, bro.
Yeah.
You
know
either
what I
pulling
mean?
over or
Yes.
Jeez.
And I mean, when Kelly and I first started dating, I mean, I would like stay down there and like get up and like
Yeah.
2 a.m.
Yeah.
and just drive back. And I mean, it was like that decision. It was like, should I try and get to Donaldsonville or should I
Do it here.
Should I do this? And I mean, like, it was
Sketchy.
pitch black outside.
Wait,
I mean,
what?
like, hold your hand out in front of you and you can't see
Hell
it.
no.
What gas station are you talking about? 'Cause
When
I'm-
you get off to the right, you go down the ramp and you curve, and then it's like that Texaco, and then there's one across the street too, right? And for whatever reason, it was probably 2:30 in the morning, and it was usually it's well lit.
yeah.
You know, I mean, it was just one of these nights where it was
was
not.
Yeah, ain't nobody inside yet
It was-
either.
I mean, I was like, I put like $15 in it.
I think I know
You know
what
what I
gas
mean?
station
Like the
you're
whole
talking
time it was just like head on a
God,
swivel.
I can't imagine.
Get a lighter out.
I mean, like a stick cracks in a tree. You're like, huh? Who is that?
It would keep your car running.
Definitely.
Yeah.
100%. Lights off.
Yeah. People get mad at me for that. Like, I'll keep my car running and pump
That
gas at the
scares me
same
to
time.
death.
I never turned
got
it
it.
off.
Yeah, I've never
I
understood
never turned it
that.
off.
Scares me.
Wait, y'all don't
I
turn
played
your
a
car
practical joke on Kelly last night. She was pumping glass. I turned her car on. I mean, we brawled in the middle of the parking lot.
Getting gas.
It's gonna blow up.
Because they
It's gonna
say
blow. I
like
was like,
a spark
it's like
could
the
do
cell
it.
phone on the plane theory.
I
Agreed.
keep mine on. I'm done with that.
When's the
shit.
last time a plane blew up because of the cell phone
Exactly.
on?
I keep mine on all the time.
I mean, for
That's
as
a
many
lie.
people as there are in this world,
You know they're
as
not
many
putting it on
jackasses
airplane
as
mode.
there are in this world, as many headstrong people like me in this world that tell me, you tell me to turn my car off, I don't want to follow that rule. I'm pumping gas. I'm
Yeah.
keeping it on.
I'm gonna learn the hard way.
Right. You want to blow me up? I'm blowing up everybody here with me.
Yeah. Same thing.
You know what I mean? Like,
You're all coming down with
Yeah.
me.
I don't believe anybody that's ever
I
said
don't
this. I've
either.
never seen it.
I don't either.
It's-
and then like Kelly's like, my mom's had cases where I'm like, prove it.
it.
Get her on the phone, show them to me. I've never heard that would be on the front page news.
Where like a spark happened.
Yeah,
and
or
it
like
blew
you know,
the
like
car up.
because the car was running at the pump, the
Yeah.
whole place, you know, like with the
yeah,
ashes.
Grand Theft Auto
I know.
did.
I
Yeah.
need to know if this has ever happened.
It's never happened.
It's never. Same thing with like the people if you're on an airplane and they're giving you like the instructions like, look,
Right.
if this thing's
I
going
get it.
down.
I get it. I'm
like-
texting my family.
Right.
I'm sorry.
But I don't need to know buckle your seatbelt, like
Right.
eyes up here, and it's like, buddy, I get we have to go through this, but nobody's paying attention. Like
No.
nobody's listening. If this thing starts going down, it's gonna be chaos.
If you're at a point where you're using your seat cushion for a flotation device, then you got way bigger problems.
we got
I think we
Stewie,
can
put it
figure
on the
it
poll.
out.
Southern Eye Center poll question of the first hour. Do you keep your car running while you pump gas?
great poll question.
It is a good poll question.
Because-
Jeff and Kenner does. He keeps it running.
I think it might be a guy versus girl thing.
Weirdos.
Oh, you think so?
Ooh, I don't know, Lloyd. I don't
Because-
know if you want to
Nah, I
put
don't
the
think-
sexist card in this one
I
just
don't
so
know.
early.
I don't think that's
do, though.
sexist.
Like I do. I'm thinking about it. Like David keeps the car running, so it's only other females that have said that to me.
Rebecca turns her car off. She gets mad at me whenever I
turn
keep it
mine
running.
off.
This might be a.
Yeah, it might be a female thing.
It might
Somebody
be.
scared us at some point.
Like you're scared of it?
yeah, I'm scared of a
Katie.
spark igniting the car.
What happened to you over the last
Even
couple
if
of
like
months?
just the gas were to catch on fire, I guess that would still suck. Even if
gas
your car
catching
didn't
on
blow
That would be
Fire.
fucking awesome.
the gas caught on fire.
Just a free show.
That's like a flamethrower.
I've seen people get paid for less on Government Street.
It is
We
true.
need to know. We need to know if this has ever happened.
What if the pump has ever like
Yeah,
sparked
if
off?
somebody's
if
car
somebody was
And
running.
on-
third world countries do not apply.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
Oh,
talking
well,
about
yeah.
in like
Wait.
civilized
Well, why
places.
would
But
that
they-
be different?
they
in a
also
third
say-
Because
world
I mean, you
country?
see some things in third world countries where you're like, wow, I guess that stuff does happen.
Yeah.
yeah, they
They-
got a rocket
I mean, like,
launcher.
didn't they like lose a plane somewhere? You know,
They
you're
did.
like, damn.
They also say if you talk on your phone, the pump.
That's
will
what
do
I.
that. Like
That's what I'm talking about.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, say
people-
what?
People said if you talk on your phone while you're like pumping gas, it'll like spark off.
No.
No,
Get the
that's
hell
they're
out.
combining the two.
No, I don't believe that at
Get
all.
the hell out.
I don't believe it
I
either.
don't
I still
believe that
talk
at
on my
all.
phone.
No, I do. Yeah, there's certain rules in this world or tenets that some people prescribe to that I'm just out on.
I'm
Like,
out.
if this is the way I go, I'll do it my way.
Yeah.
Me and Coach O.
I agree.
Talk to it, daddy.
Speaking of, do you see that rock?
Coach O's off the
Yes.
market. Did I see the
It's
rock? I
like
couldn't see her
Up
face.
to
Yes.
your knuckle.
It's-
I mean, it's a championship ring.
It's a rect. It is.
I mean, it is
It's
like
a huge rectangle diamond.
I mean,
it's
it is-
unbelievable.
it's an island.
It's
the
as
hell?
I'm trying to think of how many carats it is.
Not that he can't
Daddy.
afford it,
Cut,
obviously.
color.
That looks like buy
Quality.
myself out of trouble ring.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
that's
does.
That's like a Kobe ring.
It is a Kobe ring.
I mean, like it was the
absolutely
Kobe
is.
yellow diamond.
Yeah.
That
ring.
way, that
You know what I
thing,
mean?
what-
It was
and she
like-
was flexing with that thing too.
Yeah, I mean, hand on the chest.
Don't look
all
at me.
5
Look at
fingers
the,
out.
I'm off the market too.
Where were they? Were they at the Ritz
York.
in New Orleans? Oh, they were in New York. I thought it
Talk
was
to
the
it
Ritz
better.
in New Orleans. I was trying to figure out where they were.
Well, then he was in Tennessee.
So he took her there to propose
I guess.
in New York. I mean, they were
Legend.
dressed all fancy, like they were going to prom.
Little princess cut.
I don't know.
Legend.
Yeah, it was.
I
There you
know.
go.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of
Right.
gambling,
2.5
I mean, we've been
grams.
talking a ton about gambling. Who had Orgeron coming off the board within 3 years of being out of the job? I did not.
off the board.
I mean, like,
Boom, ba-da-boom. The pick is in.
the pick is in.
Well, I mean, how old is he though? 60s.
62.
So-
Is he 62?
You
I think
know,
it's like 62 or 63.
at some
'cause he
point,
was-
the jig is up, and you're not going to just
He is
keep
61.
getting 20-year-olds.
I'll tell that to
that
Les.
age.
Yeah. Tell it to Les.
69.
I mean, come on, 69.
He's 69?
Les is.
Oh.
That's his golden year. Ed Orgeron, 61. I mean, Ed'll, I don't know. He's done it before. I feel like if Ed is in love, he's in love.
Yeah.
You think
He
so?
feels like
You think?
I feel like
I
if
think
he
he's
gets
in love for a minute.
yeah, I feel like
Look at
There
that.
it
Like, I mean, look at Owen.
you don't even have to zoom in.
I mean, I don't want to be mean, but her hair, like the look is very mid
Mortician?
90s, you know what I mean? Like mid 90s prom. Mortician isn't really where I was going with it.
Mortician.
Maybe if she had like black hair, I guess, or it was like really
She just
white.
looks like I got caked up.
It's just a lot going on, right?
It
But
is a big
that's
picture.
what he wants, huh?
I would, yeah. I mean, like again, Hollywood casting we had for
Bohannon.
our guy Bohannon. I mean, to me,
Mob.
that's exactly what I would envision Orgeron's
Totally.
wife to look like.
Is this the woman that was in bed with him that
No.
did the selfies? Okay, which one is this?
What a great,
man,
what a lucky guy.
I know.
Which
like,
one is
I'm
this?
trying to figure out
I
which
want to
one.
say this
like,
is
I don't
Hollywood
know.
Boulevard. The lady
That's the
they
one?
called him on Hollywood.
UCLA?
Okay, so he's been,
No,
he's been
that's
with her.
not.
It's not.
Oh, it's not?
Jesus,
Stop
Ed.
it.
Ed is
Jordy,
tight-
are you being
I'm
serious?
being serious.
You know that?
I know that for a
He
fact.
knows for a fact.
Well, wait, how long has he been with her?
Oh,
before?
I don't know that. I don't know.
Was that 2 years ago?
This ain't good.
I think
Yes,
she was.
that was
yeah,
Not
I
even.
think she was down for the cause at the beginning. you know
Okay.
what I mean? I think she was pretty well understanding of what the game and how it was played.
17 million, baby.
Right when he,
Okay.
well, I mean, look, this LSU head coaching gig's not going to last forever. You know what
I'll
I
make
mean?
sure of it.
I'm gonna make this.
And for whatever reason, I wasn't this popular when I was at the LSU head coach. So I'm going to try and ride this wave until the last day.
That's
and
what I was telling
if you want to
whenever
be
it
there at the
happened.
finish line, who knows what could come next. I know I'm going to be a lot richer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to live a lot better of a life. And if you want to come do that with me, we
I
can.
wonder what he said to her, like his
Like
proposal
the
speech. Yeah, wouldn't you love to know? I would love to hear
You
it.
think it was
In
a
He
foot-
got in a
you think
4-point
it was a
stance.
Oh my god.
Baby,
I don't get it down on a knee for nobody.
baby.
On
you know I
two.
love you.
One team, one heartbeat.
Oh my god.
Smashing a Red Bull. Just
You want to get married on two?
Jesus.
Look like Tyler Shelvin down there, dude, crawling around.
Oklahoma drill.
Wait, is
talked
this,
to her daddy.
This is Brandy Nicole. That's her name.
Brandy Nicole.
Hell yeah, it is.
Brandy Nicole
That's like what
Orgeron.
people call her.
Yeah.
Brandy Nicole.
Hell yeah.
It's a double name.
Jesus.
That tuxedo jacket will
man.
never be the same.
Oh.
That's a prom
Brandy
jacket
with
when
an
you wake
eye?
up in the morning and you're like, oh, what happened? I feel like I slept with a ghost. It's still on my jacket.
Like her makeup.
The
you
fake
mean?
tan and the
Oh,
makeup.
I know, right?
You're just like, this is ruined.
Oh, jeez.
Good for him.
Yeah, man.
good for him.
Congratulations to the
Congratulations.
Orgeron.
Good job after
Yeah.
we bashed you for like 5 solid minutes about it. Congrats.
Great for Ed, man.
I mean,
Great for
but
him.
that was to be expected,
Got
right?
2 rings.
That's what I'm saying. I did not have it. I did not have that.
Oh, coming
I
off
really,
the board.
I really had like
Living the life of.
just drilling until it fell off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just.
It was going to be the.
I'm about to show y'all how to spend 17 million.
broke.
See how fast I can run through
Hey,
this.
Derek, you still got that million I gave you?
Put it in the backyard.
Wait, how old is she? Because Stephen Miller says she's not as young as we think she is. Do we know?
Well, yeah.
don't know.
Tell us how old she was. Then.
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Steven,
as you
and
know.
Steven also said he bought that ring months ago
Ah,
in Lake Charles.
Steven.
Steven, you know. the
Wow.
inside
Yeah,
info.
what do you-
Oh.
Tell us
Damn,
more.
somebody. He did not buy that in. I mean, he may have
I mean-
bought it in Lake Charles, but he definitely
Wow,
got it
look
from
at
New
Lloyd,
York.
a small town jeweler getting
Yeah.
jealous over there.
I was just saying,
There's no way that deal got done in Lake Charles.
that's just not the way it works.
Like,
You have to order.
that commission could feed a street.
That would be. I mean, that guy's not working the rest of the year.
Good lord.
That's
It's
probably
so huge.
3
I
carats
mean, like that's
At least.
at least.
no, that's at least.
Needs more than that.
monster.
It
I'm not
it
coming to
goes
work
up
next
to her
week.
knuckle.
Just so that Orgeron a ring.
I mean, it's a,
I mean, that looks like a sailboat.
Somebody
championship
knows
ring.
this, right?
How
Obviously, I
much do you
mean,
think he sold it to him for?
oh god.
Oh,
I
you-
mean, like just
Highway robbery?
here comes Coach O.
yeah.
He just got bought out. I mean, like
Come see. Watch this.
that blonde keeps busting his balls. She's got to be wanting to get married, huh?
But Nancy's like, I know a guy in Lake Charles. Street vendor pulls up, pops the trunk. Like, look, I got everything you
I
need.
got everything you need.
Might have
Right
to-
behind
Here
Daryl's
it is
Po'
up
Boys.
close. Like they're writing about
Aw.
it. I mean, it's up to her
And
knuckle.
she can't make a fist.
It's knuckle to knuckle.
Yeah,
Like it's freaking huge.
that's a
I'll
monster.
sell you this ring
It's a
for $1
monster.
million.
We might have to. Might have to test that thing.
Good for Coach O, man.
Yeah, we might have a diamond.
Might be. I mean,
Might have to bust
Test
out the
that
diamond
it's
tester.
real or not.
yes. I'm just saying, you got it from a street merchant in Lake Charles.
Let's do the check.
Get it. The trick is, if you really want, to get something that big, you go CZ, but you replace it every month, and you just don't tell her.
Wait, what do you mean you replace it every month?
Because a CZ shines brighter than any diamond, actually.
Why would you replace it every month?
So she doesn't know.
You think she's not going to know that
You
the
bring
ring is
you
gone?
bring it in. No, you're like, oh, I brought your ring in for a cleaning, and you would just replace it. And you just make it like a habit. And she's like, oh, he cleans our ring. He loves going over
This
there.
man is one person that I know will go over the line to to
Get a
do
deal
something
done?
dumb as fuck. just
spend more money.
Right, spend more money.
Spend more money on just rather than just buying the real thing.
You're
buy the real
right.
thing, bro.
I'm telling you, it's
Just getting-
cheaper in the
just
long
picking
run.
up the quartz every month.
I can get this thing cleaned real
That
quick.
thing has
for
to
you.
weigh a lot. She would know if there was a CZ in there versus a diamond on that rock.
I don't.
Come on.
She would be so enamored. You
She
wouldn't even
looks
think
like
about
she
it.
Knows.
It looks too good.
She
Oh.
knows.
She definitely did it. My friends,
Oh, yeah, she did.
and they're like, that son
She's
of a
probably been
bitch.
walking around like this.
Yeah.
They were FaceTiming in the restaurant people and being obnoxious immediately afterwards.
Oh yeah.
I don't know this for a fact. I'm
Ed,
guessing.
Yeah.
Ed was in there. Hey, Dirt. Look what I did, boy.
Got it done.
Like,
Got
would
another
people
commit.
know him? Like, would people recognize him? I guess once
Absolutely.
he started speaking.
Absolutely.
Like, if he were proposing and they heard that voice.
Absolutely.
Baby, you know I love you.
I mean, Orgeron. I mean, for about 4 or 5 years, Orgeron was one of the faces of college football.
Yeah, that's
Not
true.
even as a head coach. I'm talking about more when he was at USC. I mean, like behind the scenes when Reggie Bush and Lindell White and Matt Leinart and Brian Cushing and all those teams were coming through. I mean, Orgeron was the guy that was, whether it was true or not, he was the one that had the reputation of getting all of them.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's why Ole Miss hired him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was at this point in his career where somebody that just had to take a chance on this guy that's getting all this talent, right? And that's really kind of who he is. I mean, he left a wealth of talent to Houston Nutt. I mean, those Ole Miss teams were loaded.
What a name.
They were loaded.
I know.
And I mean, that what he was doing at LSU before he became the head coach, he had a ton to do with really kind of restoring a bit of the order of the state. Like Rashard Lawrence, the north part of Louisiana. I mean, that was Ed Orgeron as the defensive line coach when Rashard Lawrence committed and signed with LSU. People forget Ohio State was about this close at the end. I mean, people were saying he's all LSU, he's all LSU. And I remember we did a interview with Rashard after he had gotten to LSU, and him saying people don't understand how close that was. It was a time at LSU where you were a little weary, right? I mean, you were there was people that were, wondering would it be able to sustain the success that it had? Was it going to fall off? It kind of felt like it was starting to kind of become wobbly. It was losing its stability, really, more than anything. And Orgeron he brought a little bit of that back when he was the defensive line coach. I mean, there was so much love and of support behind him when he was getting the job, when it was becoming and the momentum of it was boiling and about to happen. And when he got here, I mean, he started to land guys that LSU felt like they had no shot at, right? And I mean, there are coaches that are made to be assistants.
Yeah.
And some of them are very, very talented people. Frank Wilson. Frank Wilson
Yeah, that's a great example.
is someone that got his shot as a head coach. And if you dig in deep to what he did at where he was, he had success. Same type of thing at Texas San Antonio. He left that place just, dripping with talent. They won the league a year after he left. I mean, that's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
it
they
just
had a
doesn't
first-round
happen,
pick.
right? Yeah, first round pick.
Yeah.
Coming out of there. But as far as like the head coaching seat and being the top assistant, like Frank Wilson is, there is 3 pages worth of responsibilities that makes it different. Weekly radio show, community stops, meeting with the compliance and administration, meeting with the boosters, talking to the TAF, talking with the NIL, dealing with the students, dealing with the grade. All that comes across the head coach's desk. All of that is not made for everybody. Brian Kelly's beautiful at that.
He is.
You know what I mean? He's made for that.
Yeah,
he's
he is.
made to deal with that. He's made to delegate and bring people in and handle the high-level stuff and, trust his ability to bring in the right people to handle the stuff. I'll trust Frank Wilson to run my football department, is what Brian Kelly has said. Frank Wilson's only responsibility now that people like Brian Polian are out of the way is just go get the best players, keep the roster loaded, and keep us competitive.
So you're saying O should have never been a head coach?
Ever. But it would be like I'm in media. It would be like somebody saying, hey, you want to run the best media company in the country? And me being like,
No.
Right.
Well, here's a couple of extra $1 million to think about it. Like, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like,
What
I'm
am I
not
getting
ready for
into?
this.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for this, but
I know I love it.
Yeah.
I know this is my gig.
Yeah.
I've been in media for 13 years now. I can do this, right? When you're really knowing in the back of your mind, like, I can't do this.
Do you think he knew in the back of his
Absolutely.
mind?
Because he had experiences at Ole Miss. He had experiences at USC. He had experiences at LSU in the interim. He knew in the interim, if I get this opportunity, I'm going to try like hell to make my most of it. But I know deep down in my heart, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can't sustain it. I can't bring in the right people because you know yourself. And at the end of it, it's like what we talked about earlier this week with Brian Polian. Brian Polian's an insecure football coach. Ed Orgeron's an insecure head football coach. You make him the defensive line coach and the recruiting coordinator, he'll walk in the room and he's 10 feet tall and bulletproof.
Right.
He's getting on the ground in a 4-point stance and showing drills to you in the office. Seriously.
In your kitchen.
Absolutely. I mean, like, he's and he tried to do that as the head coach, and people are like, get up.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that.
I don't
You know,
know
I mean,
how else
like-
to do
Realize
it.
it? Like,
Yeah.
when did he realize
Well,
it,
you can
do
do that as
think?
When
the
it was too
interim,
late.
too.
Yeah.
You know, when it's too
What a
late.
spot to be in.
Yeah, I
when
mean,
you
it's
do
just
realize
it's too late. You know, like, I mean, you know yourself. You know your
Yeah.
strengths. You know your weaknesses. You know when you're out of your element. You know, and I mean that pulling his hair out on the practice field, that stomping on the headsets, and throwing it and trying to fight Bo Pelini on the sideline. That's a sign of like he's freaking out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Internally, it's combusting.
Not,
Yeah.
It's not like our team isn't executing and we can't tackle or catches. We don't know what we're doing.
Right.
It's all too fast.
We look like a circus down here. You know what I mean? And I'm the ringleader.
Yeah.
And
Timeouts out of commercial breaks.
exactly. I mean, and he knew the whole time. Like I'm not ready. If you put me behind the scenes and you tell me to go get the players, I'll be the best assistant coach in the country. You know, and the people that can recognize that and just embrace it and be it. I mean, there's a lot of money in that profession.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's
Yeah, you
a lot of stability for someone that says, "Hey, head coach, I don't want any of the shine. I don't want any of the spotlight. You know what? I don't even have to do press. You can ban me from the media. I don't let my assistants talk to the media. Cool. I'll call the plays, I'll get the players, and I'll make sure we win. You'll have a job with me forever." You know, like
Yeah.
I mean,
Insminger.
somebody exactly. Steve Insminger, and Brian Kelly, it kind of felt like that was Brian Polian.
I know.
You know what I
It
mean?
did.
Like it and
Until it wasn't.
I don't know what the responsibility was, but everybody has their people where you're like, hey, if I get a gig, you're coming with me. You know, I mean, you always hear Will Wade talk about Nelson Hernandez.
Yeah.
Every time he gets a gig, that guy's got a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Nelson, he don't want to be a head coach.
Right.
He don't need a spotlight. He knows his role, and he just sprints through brick walls every day.
Yeah.
And if you're a head coach, that you got to worry about all this other stuff. I got to go worry about all this other stuff. I know I got this guy taking care of my stuff. Like Brian Kelly does not worry about Frank Wilson at all. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Why
Like,
would you?
what a luxury.
I know.
What a luxury to be in a position where you're running a football department that is a $100 million company and has expectation to win a national championship every year. And you got somebody in place that's running that for you while I got to go talk to the people. I got to go raise the money. I got to keep our NIL relationships
Gotta go to supper
intact.
club.
I gotta go hire another GM. You know, I mean, I got to do all this other stuff. So I got to make sure I got trusted people behind me that can handle it.
I mean, who else would you rather throw the keys to than Frank?
Nobody.
I know.
That's such a luxury, especially just perfect fit, perfect place where you're just like, go
It really
run.
is.
Like, I don't have, like you said, don't have to worry about him at all. He knows more about this than I do.
I know. How
Just go
lucky
do,
he is.
and it's just certainly perfect for Frank because he tried his hand. You don't have to worry about losing him.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, I mean, he can get other jobs if he wants to, but he's in the perfect spot for him. He's tried. He tried his head coaching gambit, and he realized early. I would say that he was like, all right, I tried at UTSA, I tried at McNeese, 2 stops and I'm out. Let me go back to what I do great, and that's at LSU, and that's recruit. And know your role and play it well.
And, you know, the great irony for someone like Ed Orgeron is that he will be remembered as the head coach of the greatest college football team of all time.
That's right. He will.
Right? And I believe that for as much as Ed Orgeron, from a full body of work, would be deemed as a failure as a head coach, he's one of only a few that could have made that year work.
Yeah. That's
Right?
true.
Like, I mean, as good as that team was, there was only a few people probably on the planet that could have made that thing work. For as bad as Larry Coker was at Miami, those first 2 years that they won the Natty or played for him, he really kind of got out of their way and allowed them to be that team, which was what they really needed at the time. He couldn't sustain it. He couldn't keep it going. He couldn't recruit at that level. But Orgeron being able to bring that collection of talent together, which he's responsible for a ton of those guys being on campus, most notably Joe Burrow. The recruiting story of Burrow is infamous.
Yeah.
And Orgeron is all over it.
Right.
The way that he handled that team, they won a national championship from its internal leadership of the stories of the summer days when the team was running itself, right? When they had 100% participation on a June day and there's no coaches around, right? When Orgeron gets that phone call that he tells all the time and says, Coach, your team's on the practice field. And he says, well, who are they working out with? And he's
Joe.
nobody. Burrow and Patrick Queen are running the whole damn thing. And he sat back and looked at whoever was in the room and said, we're going to win it. We're going to win the whole thing. We're going to win the national champion. I mean, this is buckle up, boys. This is about to be
a
fun.
hell of a ride. It's almost that was the perfect style for him because it's almost he got to be an interim head coach where go beat your chest.
Yep.
Like you don't have to do the day-to-day. You can almost – it's like a rock concert where you can just ride the wave and you're like, oh, you wake up and at the end of it you're like, oh, we won it all. And you don't know how you got there, but you knew it was fun. And you didn't. Then you wake up the next day like, oh, I have to form a whole new band. Like this is gonna suck.
Right.
I don't want to do that work. I don't want to start again.
I mean, the story of Joe Brady taking the Carolina Panther job, he is sitting 2 seats behind Orgeron on the national championship bus back to Baton Rouge, and Panamsky shows Orgeron Twitter of an NFL account and says Joe Brady has just accepted the Carolina job. And Orgeron looks back at him, and Brady's puts his head down. You know, I mean, at that point, I think they knew this isn't going to be as cool as it was.
Yeah.
I'm going solo.
I mean, it's over, boys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, as fast as it started, it was done.
I just threw up.
Yeah. This is so much fun.
That's sad.
There's that ham sandwich again.
He seems fine now with all his decisions.
Who?
Oh.
You
He
think?
made it out okay.
Congratulations to the Ocean.
Absolutely. And what's crazy is if he wanted to, he could run it back and be a recruiting coordinator probably anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Well,
And
maybe
they
he
would-
will.
Well, I think there's a 5-year.
Basically show cause.
There's
Really?
a 5-year hold on him.
Okay.
I think there was a major concern.
Bama.
Saban,
Yeah.
Kirby Smart, Jimbo Fisher would just say, here's
Yeah.
a ton of cash. Be our
Yeah,
recruiting
that's
coordinator.
true.
Go raid Louisiana.
Wow.
And let me tell you
Can
something.
Imagine?
He would.
I mean, if you're watching Algiers America, which is fantastic,
haven't
and by the way, the
started yet.
producer will be on with us Thursday morning. The finale is Wednesday night, and the
gotta watch it before then. Have y'all watched
producer is going.
2
yes.
episodes in.
It's 5 episodes. I'm caught up. I'm waiting on the 5th episode that airs tomorrow night. Is today Tuesday?
Yes.
Tonight. It airs tonight. So he's going to be on with us tomorrow. Accent.
Little Westgate
God.
action on there too.
What's that?
Westgate
Yes.
and Carr.
Derek Williams.
Yeah.
That's what sweet was.
Derek Williams. You know why they missed Derek Williams? Brian Polian.
Stop.
Yep.
baby.
Really?
Yep.
Take him. We don't want him. We want that
Best player in the
defensive
state. I mean, you watched that game? How
Coach.
good was Derek Williams
back.
in that game?
I mean, I remember
This is
watching the
Westgate
highlights.
Carr State semifinals 2 years ago. This is Aaron Anderson and Tyji Adams' senior year at Carr. So this is 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years.
And Derek Williams is a junior, and he's the best player on the field.
Yep.
They don't give Aaron Anderson the ball enough. Aaron Anderson probably would be if he touched, because they just put Derek Williams at
running back.
Well, they don't even put him at running back. They put him at
quarterback.
Wildcat
Just-
and just snap it directly to him. He just kind of
Don't
waits on
overthink
one
it.
block and is gone. And I mean, he's running through Carr's defense. Whenever he wants it, he gets it.
Derek Williams, right? Derek Williams.
I mean,
left.
it's impressive.
It's gonna work.
Just like Novocaine. Give it time, it always works.
Yep.
But I mean, talking about Algiers America, Aaron Anderson is talking about his decommitment, and he says, "I wasn't committed to LSU. I was committed to Ed Orgeron." Right?
yeah.
I mean, like, and during that episode, the third one, O gets let go at LSU,
Really?
and I mean, like, you can see the effect that it has
Yeah.
on the state. Like, you can hear the kind of now. Fast forward a year, Tyji Adams is on campus. He's had a really good spring. He's set to get some time this year. He'll be a player in the next couple of years. You got Aaron Anderson back in Baton Rouge at LSU. So, I mean, it's kind of all worked out for LSU in it. But, I mean, it kind of gave you an insight of, I mean, there's a lot of relationships that get built. And Orgeron is one of the best to do it in Louisiana. I mean, if he decided he wanted to jump back in it,
Man,
LSU
that's
would be in
scary.
trouble. But
Yeah,
that was a
that's
great
scary.
job in writing that contract and keeping him out for 5 years.
Yeah, it was.
You know, I mean, 5 years from now and $17 million and hopefully a couple of wise investments where he's just kind of, rich and happy, and somebody says, you want to come back? And he's like, hell no, I'm done.
About to be 70.
But would
Yeah.
he do it out of spite, do you think?
No, that's the 5 years. At some point, you would imagine
Some
that
point it wears off.
It
Some
would
point
just, yeah,
the
he's
anger
done.
goes
And
away.
you probably, I mean, deep in his heart, he still loves LSU. I would imagine.
I would
like,
think so.
You can't burn that. Like, it can't be burned that badly because he has to look in the mirror and be like, I mean,
Part of
part of it's on me.
Yeah.
It's not 100% anybody's fault, but some of it's on me. And I would imagine if it wouldn't have ended the way that it did, he probably would have come back to LSU. Like if there's a world where he would come back as recruiting coordinator or come help, but
You think so?
I think he couldn't because of the persona that he is in Louisiana.
You think they would take him back?
I don't. Ed, no, that's what I'm
LSU.
saying. Like in a perfect world, he would be able to come back, but because of the way that it all happened,
I mean, I think
you can't have a former sitting head coach as your recruiting coordinator and then when that loves the microphone that
it would be
much.
a tough sell for sure.
Yeah, it would. That would be
Van does love
wild.
the microphone.
Yeah, I mean, keep the color on the line. Like, one more thing. Like, no. Let's get back to football.
Exactly. Man,
That's what it all was. What a shit show.
Holy cow.
That's happening live.
Hold that
All right,
call.
we're going to talk to Doug Thompson here in a couple of minutes. We're calling him now. When we come back, we'll talk to Doug Thompson right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, built by our friends over at R&B Builders.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at JordyCulottaShow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Fourier Insurance Agency, established in 1946, locally can help you with any of your home, auto, commercial, contractors, life and health insurance today. Give them a call, 225-383-0682, or log online to FourierAgency.com.
Hey, she's on her way up.
Hey, G, I got you something.
Hey, Coach. What do you think? Is this too much?
If you look good, you play good.
All right, then. Let's get it done.
Do you need your roof checked or just ready to get a new roof? Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal has helped over 10,000 customers with their roofs over the last 2 decades. Premier South employs over 300 team members in South Louisiana. They're accredited by the Better Business Bureau. They've been named in the top 100 roofers in the nation for a number of years. And Premier South has former insurance adjusters in-house whose job it is to help get all the insurance money you deserve. So go to PremierSouthLA.com for Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal and get your free inspection.
Premier South Roofing.
All right, welcome back here to a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. We're going to talk to Brody Miller of The Athletic coming up here in a couple of minutes, but our friend Doug Thompson, who is going to be representing every week, and this is cool, man. Doug and I were eating some lunch yesterday, and he was telling me about one of his new partnerships or somebody that he's working directly with, and I'll let him tell you a little bit more about it, but it is the Firefighters Association here in Baton Rouge, and some of the cool things that they can do for some businesses, and not only that, for schools, man. We have got to get them into all of the schools, and Doug's going to tell you more about it as Doug is here with us every week talking some LSU baseball. Dougie, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Good to talk to you guys. Missed you yesterday.
Doug, we ate lunch yesterday.
Let's talk about it on the show.
No, I mean this show. Okay. I'm not just talking about
not you personally.
Like, okay, buddy. Well, I was like, damn, I thought we were
hated the lunch, missed the show.
Really,
I mean the whole gang, dude.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's all right. We got him on mic'd up. He did great.
Dougie, tell me about real quick about the fire department, and because every week when you talk to us,
it's the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation. Started about 5 years ago. Their original mission was to provide better training for current Louisiana first responders, paramedics, firefighters, et cetera. And they've done that. They've done an incredible job of that. They train their people right out of the state of the art training facility right there off Airline Highway at the St. George Fire Department. Recently, I'd say in the last 6-8 months, they've kicked off kind of another initiative, which is to train what they call community responders. So they use those same firefighters and paramedics that have received this type of training, and they go into schools and businesses and, anywhere really, and teach life-saving, skills that they call it street medicine, that they enable administrators, teachers, faculty, business owners. They empower them with the information they need to prevent a couple different, potentially life-threatening situations before. In that 3 to 8 minutes, 3 to 6 minutes it takes an ambulance to get to you, you can either bleed out or you can stop. Your heart can stop beating. That's the two most common ways that you could pass. So they go into these places at no cost. Of course, they live and thrive on the public donations, but they go in there at no cost and empower these schools with the information to potentially save lives. So anyway, it's a great organization. I'm proud to be part of it, and proud to represent them here on your show every time I come on.
LouisianaFirefighters.com is where you can learn more. It's a great organization, and as Doug said, we need to get them all into our schools to make sure, first and foremost, that our kids are protected. LouisianaFirefighters.com. All right, Doug, Tigers fall for the first time all season in an SEC series. They got Northwestern midweek and Mississippi State at home this week. What was it that you saw this week that snipped them?
Well, I mean, I just don't think the pitchers threw enough strikes, and that look, to lose the first series now, 7-8 weeks into the SEC. I mean, that's still quite the feat, and to win on the road, no matter how good or bad the team is. Come on, we've seen this many times. Certainly, LSU has dropped series to more inferior opponents in Auburn, who was a pretty good ball club. They had 3 or 4 guys that could really swing the bat. They hadn't pitched it that well this year, but they did well enough this weekend. And the greatest of all time, Coach Bertman used to say, be careful no matter who you're playing, because if their pitcher has a better day than our pitcher, it's going to be tough to win. So, I think that's what happened. It's behind them now. I think they have a good opportunity in front of them to get back on track and maybe even get 4 wins this weekend, 3 or 4 at least, as we head down to the final stages here of the regular season.
Speaking of pitching performances, Paul Skeens on Friday night maybe had his best outing in what looks like is going to be a National Player of the Year type season, where he sat down 15, which was his career high. I know that you get on here and you gloat on Skeens every week, but what was it about him on Friday night that had him ticking so good?
Well, the thing that kind of surprised me the most was after 2 innings, he only had 2 strikeouts. And I was actually thinking, man, maybe he might not get to double digits tonight. And then he just flipped the switch and, really got to getting it after those last 5 innings. Man, he's just overpowering. I mean, it's overwhelming fastballs. He was able to, early on, they looked like they were on his fastball a little bit. And he and Wes Johnson looked like they made a little adjustment there and started early with breaking balls, and he's able to do that too. So whatever he needed to do, he was able to accomplish that. That's not easy for everyone to just change the game plan in the middle of the game and get 15 strikeouts. But this might be the greatest season we've ever seen at LSU. It might end up being one of the greatest college baseball seasons of all time. His strikeout per 9 innings is still over 17. He's got 130 plus strikeouts and 13 walks. I mean, it's really been fun to watch, and unfortunately, we only get to see him for 1 year.
Doug, look, I know that you're a very competitive person. You don't want to lose. You never go out to lose at all. Is there such thing in a baseball season that runs 56 games and you're ranked number 1 for 11 straight weeks and you're getting everybody's first, best punch? Is there such thing as a good loss?
Is there such thing as a good loss? Wow. I think at times there can be. Of course, you never want to lose, but I think some losses can serve as wake-up calls. Losses, look, what do we tell our kids after every loss? We never lose. We always learn, at least. So losses kind of shed light on weaknesses at times, and that's not always a terrible thing. For me, it's always a bad loss if the effort's not there and it doesn't seem like the team is focused and locked in. To me, there's no way around that. But of course, that happens less and less, the older you get. So, I guess that's a difficult answer. I guess that's where you are in the season, and do you need a little bit of a wake-up call or not? And maybe this weekend was exactly what LSU needed to make sure that, hey, the finish line's right there. The race isn't over yet. Perhaps in that regard, the series loss this weekend could serve long-term in favor of LSU. But other than that, you never really want to lose, right?
Sure. Doug, I've seen some people saying that Thatcher Hurd maybe deserves another crack at the starting lineup. Where do you fall on Hurd, and what do you expect of him over this last stretch?
Thatcher Hurd's an interesting story. I mean, he's obviously got the stuff, and I remember reading all the stuff about him before the season, and man, I want to say he had 30-something innings pitched and 5 walks, and then suddenly he crosses the Mason-Dixon line and he can't throw a strike, and I don't understand that, right? Like, I've talked to a bunch of buddies about it actually. Like, and if you're a velocity guy, you're always it's not like you throw mid-90s one year and then come back the next year and can't break 90 unless you're hurt, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with a command pitcher. I mean, I don't recall many guys that I played with that were, those high strikeout to walk guys, or the ones that just didn't walk many guys. I don't recall them ever really battling with their command. So last year he's, 5 walks and 30+ innings pitched, and this year it was like nowhere close. So, what I will say is his last 2 outings the outing before the last one. I didn't see this weekend. Full disclosure, his outing at least, not this weekend, but the outing before that was the best that we've seen this year. So, if he can go out there and do what he did 2 weekends ago, which is the only time I've seen him over the last 2 weeks, then he's plenty good enough to start in this rotation.
Dougie, I'm looking at the season strikeout leaders in LSU baseball history, and this list is littered with just superstars of the past. You're third on the list, and only in front of you is Ben McDonald, who struck out 202 in 1989, and Anthony Renato got you in 2009 only by 1. You had 158 in 97. Renato had 159. You mentioned the strikes being an issue for LSU. You were dominant at this. When you see LSU struggling to find the zone, do you see something that stands out to you?
Not quite yet, but I'm watching. I'm trying to understand again the Thatcher Hurd mystery. How did we just cross the country and now we just suddenly don't throw strikes? It just doesn't seem like, I just don't see that much. So I'm really trying to figure out and understand, what the issue is, or if there even is an issue. But I don't know. It's throwing strikes once you get to LSU. Everyone should be able to throw a fastball over the plate 7, 8 out of 10 times, at will down the middle, whenever you want, almost. And then most people, by the time they get to LSU or a school like LSU, there's another pitch in there that's electric. Mm-hmm. And by the time you get to LSU, you usually only have time to develop 2 of them. A lot of guys come to LSU nowadays because, of course, youth baseball and travel ball and all these, there's so many more reps that people actually do get to college with a nice changeup developed. But, I don't know. The strike thing is a little bit concerning, especially here over the last couple of weeks.
As always, Doug Thompson here weekly with us talking LSU baseball. Northwestern in town tonight to take on a midweek performance for LSU, and then Mississippi State is back in this weekend. Defensively, Doug, for LSU, they've been pretty solid throughout the year. They've been pretty consistent. What have you made of them defensively over the last couple of games here, the last couple of weekends in SEC play?
Well, there's 3 facets of the game, 4 if you include base running, but and you've got to be good at all 3 to win a national championship. And LSU offensively and defensively are plenty good enough to play in Omaha.
Thank you as always, Doug. We will talk to you next week. And as we said to you, our weekly chats with Doug is going to be brought to you by the Louisiana Firefighters Association, the Louisiana Firefighters Foundation, that you can learn more about at LouisianaFirefighters.com. There's a tongue twister. Sorry about that.
He's fighting fires himself.
A lot of F.
Doug, do you keep your car on when you pump your gas?
Yeah. What's that?
Do you keep your car on when you pump your gas?
I did.
Question.
Yes, there we go. So,
It is.
Would you
and
ever
if
crank it while you were pumping gas?
Oh Jesus, you'll get arrested.
You will?
I don't know that I would crank it while I'm pumping gas.
Okay.
Not enough time. Phrasing.
Little bit of
Jesus.
Wordy. Doug, you're a diesel guy too, right?
No, regular.
Okay.
Am I in the? I'm curious. Am I in the minority there or the majority?
It seems like you're in the minority.
Yeah.
But the majority of the room.
Well,
But
they
the
made fun
majority
of
of the
me
room, that's
because
right.
they think it's a girl thing, but we put a poll up, and 70-something% of people keep their car off when they're pumping gas. So.
I turn my car off and pump gas.
Oh, the
there
minutes
he
of the
is.
meeting.
There he is.
Funny enough, Doug, all of us do not crank it as well at the pump. So have a great day, brother.
More of a Magnum guy, not a
Good to
diesel.
see you. Good to talk to you. Thank you.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good week. Bye-bye.
LouisianaFirefighters.com.
Jesus.
People do that. I've been in the car when somebody's cranked it while they're pumping gas.
Cranked it.
And it scared me to death. What? Are you saying that's weird to do, or are you saying that's not
Crank it
scary
is a
to do?
euphemism for masturbating, Katie.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well,
Ask
I
him if he
didn't-
cranks it in the
not
car.
know that?
I've seen this guy cranking
really
in the
not
car
know
at
that?
the gas
No,
station.
I did not. I did, or maybe I've heard it, but I'm
Or-
sorry, that is not what crosses
Did you-
my
Okay,
mind
so
when I'm
if
talking
you weren't
about cranking
referencing
a
that,
car.
what were you
Cranking
cranking?
the car
Do y'all
on.
think I
Or
was
did you
referencing
car?
Or were you referencing the homeless
Doug
man
did
that you
not
saw at the
think I
gas
was
station
referencing that,
cranking?
right?
Well, I think he did because of the way that he answered. He was like, "Well, I definitely don't
Crank it.
Oh God, y'all!
Jesus, Katie.
Y'all are so gross.
No.
Like that is not what was on my
Look,
mind. I'm
I
talking
didn't-
about getting gas.
I didn't know what cranking it was either, but I mean, I kind of understood whatever.
The way that you
Doug
said it was
answered.
perfect. The
Like,
phrasing on it.
And-
You need to crank it in the car while you wait.
I mean,
Don't
it
let the
didn't cross
carpool
my
a
mind.
queen fool you. She's got a dirty mind off
We're
the
always
air.
crank-
Yes,
I'm always
Right? Like,
cranking.
I mean, like, oh, no, I would never.
I would never.
I would
Y'all
would
are so
never.
gross.
I don't have a dirty mind off the air.
Thank
I
you.
say exactly what I would say to y'all on the air.
Yeah.
That didn't cross my mind that crank it meant something besides
That's all right.
cranking the car.
One of
Crank that,
Rebecca's
crank that,
friends
crank that.
has a brother, and the girlfriend has been saying "flick the bean" as like wasting
Lord.
as wasting time, and she said it her whole life.
Oh my God.
She didn't know what it meant, and she was
Nobody
like, "What are you
stopped
doing over
her?
here, flicking the bean?" It's yeah, her boyfriend finally did because she was saying it at work. And she was like, "You go up to somebody's desk, like you over here flicking the bean," and they're like, "God, Lord!" She's
I
like,
never
"What?"
knew that either till you told me.
Wait, Katie, you didn't know what flicking the bean?
No,
meant?
I've never
Wow, I
heard
learned that in
anyone
high
say
school.
that.
Yeah, and
That's so weird to me.
she
It
asked
was
you.
weird.
You
but
heard people say that? That was like
Yes.
a real phrase.
Absolutely.
It is a phrase.
Maybe just in Mississippi, nobody said that.
She
I
called.
don't
She
know.
had to call her mom's like, "Why did you never tell me?" She's like, "I just thought you were kind of gross."
Just let her live.
It's like, oh, we can't stop
You
her.
figure it
She's
out
doing
for
all the
yourself.
time. Over here flicking the bean, cranking it.
I mean, well, that is nuts.
That's nuts.
What about that show, Crank Yankers? That's like a puppet show,
Crank
right?
Yankers?
That
Yeah, that's
comes
like
on
a. It's
Comedy
like
Central.
it's called crank calls.
Is
like,
that what that means?
It's like a
then?
prank call. Yeah.
But
No,
it
you're
does-
not. You're not beating off on the
Okay,
phone.
well, to me now that sounds like a masturbation show, right?
Jesus.
No, I mean you
Crank
could. That would be a
Yankers.
good.
Get me out.
Is it carpool yet? For God's sake.
Back me
It's
out.
a.
That's it.
Back me out.
She knows the carpool clock
I
like
was
the back
not
of her hand.
homeschooled. No.
All right, Brody Miller next here, the Jordy Culotta Show. Let us reset.
Yeah, we'll go crank it.
Yeah, it's everybody crank and flick.
Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression and anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
Get Gordon and get it done. Get Gordon and get it done. Corrects done. Personal injury done. Workers' comp done. Truck wrecks done. Get Gordon and get it done. Get Gordon and get it done.
In 1975, Mike Anderson left the gridiron for the grill, opening a po' boy shop near LSU. If you're from Louisiana, odds are you've tasted a dish, experienced the tradition of Mike Anderson's seafood. 48 years later, the tradition of Mike Anderson's lives on with the next generation.
I'm very thankful.
He's never allowed okay to be okay. It's a driving force for me to just want to keep it as good as he made it.
Mike Anderson Seafood and WAFB, celebrating the community. All right, welcome back here to a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, built by our friends over at R&B Builders. And remember, daily, we're brought to you by Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal. Premier South has locations in Baton Rouge, Lafayette, North Shore, and New Orleans, ready to take your call today or online at premiersouthlA.com. That's probably the best way to get to them. Louisiana's premier roofing experts in quality and service. If you have a roof that's 8 years or older, you qualify for a free inspection from Premier South Roofing and Sheet Metal. Odds are you qualify for a brand new roof. Find out today. Get them on the roof, and they'll work directly with the insurance companies. They'll help you get all the money that you deserve for a brand new roof. Premier South, premiersouthlA.com. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, North Shore, New Orleans. Doesn't matter where you are, they're ready for you. Louisiana's premier roofing experts in quality and service. Been looking forward to catching up with our longtime friend of the show, Brody Miller. He covers LSU football. He also covers golf. Picked up a new assignment over at the Athletic. Also won the lottery, the media lottery. We haven't talked to him in a while. He went to Augusta Saw him at the Jazz Fest last week. We're going to catch up and talk a little LSU football coming out of the spring and going into this off season. Brody Miller is back here with us on the Jordy Culotta Show on this Tuesday morning. Brody, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you? I did not win the media lottery. That was a bummer. But yeah, man, I'm living my best life. Augusta, Jazz Fest, seeing you. Life's good.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that's how you ended up in Augusta, was that you had won a media lottery.
Oh no, I was just covering the Masters for the Athletic. Yeah.
Jeez, Brody. Okay, let's start there. How was that?
Oh, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It was like we cover stuff a lot, right, for a job, and like we get kind of numb to it a little bit. And I feel like this was like, I'm not afraid to admit, I was a little kid. It was absolutely like everything you'd ever build it up as. It's like Disney World for like 45-year-old like white men. You know, it's just like absolutely like everyone there is just in a good mood because they're like, you're here too. Like everyone's just like, your dream's coming true.
Hey, Bob.
It was yeah,
you and me, buddy.
Like, you seem happy.
Right.
It's like it looks like a national park. Like the grass is just so perfect. So yeah, even aside from the golf itself and the work, I mean, it was pretty unbelievable. So hopefully I didn't blow it and I get back next year. We'll see.
No cell phones, right?
No cell phones. And a lot's been written about that, but like it is pretty great. It is pretty cool to like, could I go all my life without a phone? Of course not. But like for like an hour or two at a time to just kind of be like, wait, no phone. I feel free. I am taking in what's happening in front of me. It's pretty great. Then when you're walking back to your phone, you are just like, what I missed. So I'm not like,
yeah, right.
Sure.
Yeah, no. Brody, do me a favor and put the other earpod in, please. It's just causing a little bit of static.
I can hear you cranking it down there.
Ooh, that makes sense. Yeah, I know. I lost my pod, so this is not a good look. But
no,
what
okay.
am I going to do?
That's actually my pod of choice. I like the wired the wired pod.
I like the wired, but still.
All right, Brody. So coming out of spring.
Pores.
A lot of people have questions about this transfer portal with what's going on with LSU. So let's start there. Logan Diggs and Keon Coleman are two names that LSU is keeping an eye on. What are the latest on those two guys?
Yeah, with Diggs, I mean, he had a visit at South Carolina that I know South Carolina felt good about. But at the same time, I mean, Diggs is somebody that I think LSU feels pretty confident about, and most of the vibes around him are that LSU is, in the driver's seat there. And it's been obviously a week or two since that's been out there. I was like at first surprised in the sense that I don't think they're desperately looking for a running back, but at the same time, it feels a little bit like, hypothetically, if they do get him, it feels a good amount like the Jaden Daniels signing in a way where, was quarterback some desperate need a year ago? I don't think any of us viewed it that way. But if you have a chance to get more special there, if you have a chance to get more dynamic there, Brian Kelly is not like sentimental. He's not going to be like, well, we have these guys who've been, good for us. It's how can I get a better chance at a national title? And Logan Diggs obviously checks so many boxes. Louisiana ties, experience, knows Brian Kelly, and is just a really good player that I think could, with Josh Williams, with Armani Goodwin, like that could be like running back is the only piece I think when you look at that offense that isn't necessarily an A. It's good, stable, but like you add Logan Diggs, suddenly that's an A. And this offense doesn't really have anything you're particularly worried about. So I think Logan Diggs would be a no-brainer. And then Keon Coleman, I think, probably falls in that group of, they got a nice group of receivers, but at the same time, I think you can get better there. Neighbors is the only one that we are like, even though I love 4 of these guys, I'm pretty high on a lot of them, Neighbors is the only one that you are sure has produced at like I'm an actual star level. So, you're not going to turn down a chance to add more bodies there. But yeah, and I haven't heard too much lately about the latest with where LSU stands with him other than they feel like they're in good shape. But I do think they probably land Diggs.
Coming out of spring, Brody, there was many storylines, and we'll try to get to the majority of them. But let's start with the quarterback. Obviously, there was a story just a little under a week of Garrett Nussmeier announcing that he wasn't going into the portal. Did you ever anticipate him leaving, and what did you make of the quarterback play during spring?
Yeah, I anticipated it from the non-information sense, right? Just in the we are humans who watch college football, and you see a guy who is good enough to start, quite frankly, at a large chunk of Power 5 programs for him to stay a year. Just in the grand step back, we don't know LSU that well sense. Yeah, it's surprising. It's a big deal. But no, in terms of, being around LSU, it's been really steady from the Nussmeier camp all the way through. That and I know Doug Nussmeier was kind of handling parts of it. Like they were going to stay. I mean, that was the word from LSU people back in December, and even 2 weeks ago they were LSU staffers were saying, yeah, we're biting our nails, we're nervous, we're going to be nervous till the day it ends. But at the same time, I do think that they consistently were told he's not going anywhere. They got some good offers from places back in the winter portal and, some major schools and they were just no, thank you, and I think that's complicated, right? I think it's a lot of things going into that. One, he does just like LSU. Sometimes we gloss over that. Two, he's a coach's son who's somebody who gets it, who's been around, who understands like this isn't always a grass is greener thing and you might develop more at LSU. I think what Brian Kelly said in Houston's really important, I think, about development and giving him assurances that he's still going to get first team reps consistently at practice. That's a big thing because you don't want to be going into go through your third year in college and you're still not getting like enough reps to develop. That's the part people forget. So I think there's a lot going on. Plus, Jaden Daniels, as much as he is the starter, he's a running quarterback who's thin, and it's not like Garrett Nussmeier isn't going to see the field this year, let alone if, God forbid, injuries. So I think it makes sense when you really look back, and also I think the part that gets left out is, yes, it would be good for him to start somewhere and prove himself and get just better and reps early. I'm never going to argue that. But I also think, if he goes somewhere, he's probably going somewhere that's, a step or two away from really competing. You're going, 7-5, 8-4, and that's good. He's going to get better. But it might be a better sell for Brian Kelly and LSU to be able to say, yeah, you're not starting right away, but come next year, you are the clear star of a probably top 5, top 10 roster with 2 all-SEC tackles, good receivers. Like, you might not start till year 4, but you have the pieces ready to be a first-round pick if you're good enough, if you stay and take this team to, a playoff or whatever. So I think there's a lot of things that make a lot of sense for Nussmeier's thing. It is just rare in this era. It's a huge win for LSU.
You mentioned the wide receivers, and we were talking a little bit about where a transfer may fit in a very talented room, a guy like Keon Coleman, and Malik Neighbors being the only bona fide star, but you liking for. I love Brian Thomas. I think Brian Thomas seems to be the guy that is the X player for the breakout huge season. What about this wide receiver room? Because I got to be honest, Kyron Lacey really surprised me in how stable and how consistent he has become. And then you talk to everybody in the building and his name comes up all the time as somebody who's really kind of bought in. Aaron Anderson, you can't leave off the field. How do you like this rotation with wide receiver? And the freshmen haven't even showed up yet.
Exactly, right? I think you nailed the Kyron Lacey part because I'll be the first to say last year, he just felt like a guy. He was solid, did his job, he was kind of a guy. And, even people at UL, they would tell you, yeah, good for him. We like Kyron Lacey. I don't think it was like, that guy needs to be at LSU. And now this spring, it does feel like there's a different tenor to it. There is and you saw it in the spring game, he is more dynamic, confident, consistent is something Brian Kelly talked about a lot. But he looked explosive. He's a playmaker, and he was kind of like this stable possession receiver last year. And now he looks like a guy who I'm not going to put my money on him being like the starting 3, but you and I know that's always just semantics. And he is going to see the field a lot. I like this rotation a lot. I've just been burned a few times by being like, man, they got 5 studs. They're going to be great at receiver. Then sometimes you forget guys have to still be fully cohesive, good day-to-day receivers. So I'm not going to ride the hype train too far just because I've been burned. But Brian Thomas is a really good player who's proven for 2 years. He is solid. The thing that I think Brian Kelly wants to see is, can he be a star? Can he be, because that guy is physically so built. He's a perfect player to go with Neighbors. And then, Anderson, it's he's the X factor because he didn't play this spring. Obviously, the knee injuries at Alabama. I don't want to put my money on it just because you still have to see it. But he is in a vacuum going to start this year. Like you said, you can't not let him on the field. He adds a dynamic playmaking after the catch, short pass option that changes an offense. So I feel really, really good about 4, and that's a good place to be. But you do want to see, okay, can Jaylen Brown or Shelton Sampson or Kyle Parker, can they be the clear second team guy that you can trust? Can Ivietta be that guy? But I think, or can a Keon Coleman or someone you bring in? But you do need a little more depth. But that top 4, I really feel good about.
Last year at this time, we were curious on what they were going to do at tight end. This year, they've got guys on the roster. They've got guys that are established on the roster, and they've got guys coming in that feel like they're going to play. What do you anticipate from that position now that it feels like they've got options that Kelly and Denbrock really trust?
Yeah, option's a good way to put it, because it's like if we view it from the perspective of last year and how much of a mess that looked like, it's like, man, they're swimming in options. They're killing it. And it's like, it's a really good spot because you have Mason Taylor back. You do know that guy has a chance to be a really great, like he could, if he meets his potential, be one of the better tight ends in the SEC. So having him back with the year of experience is key. And now you have 3 actual scholarship backups. That's key. But I just have to remind myself they are all freshmen. So it's like, if this wasn't compared to the last 2 years, you'd be like, tight end still a question mark at LSU, but because you finally have options, you have to be promised. But yeah, I think Denbrock said Mac Markway is somebody who, because of his size and his build, he's ready to at least get on the field as a blocker. I think year one, that's key. I really like what I saw from McGowan, in the spring game. I don't think the expectations are that high for him, but he looked like a dynamic pass catcher. That one ball from Garrett Nussmeier looked really good. And then, Pimpton's just this X factor that I think I'm probably more excited about Pimpton than any player in this class, because he just has this off the charts, just like if that piece of clay that if molded correctly could be a superstar, quite frankly. But again, you're still probably a year or whatever away from him being there, if at all. So it's like, I like that they have depth finally, but you do have to kind of develop it.
I'm really excited to watch Brad Davis's group get on the field and develop. The offensive line, I think, is going to be a strong point of this team. Where do you see Lunsford fitting in, the transfer from Maryland, Mason Lunsford? Where do you see him fitting in?
Yeah, most of the occasions I got on that signing was a depth signing, but not like you aren't going to compete for a spot. But that is for depth for the most part. I think it's a good move because they have depth at tackle, which when have we ever said that before? But you do want a little more at that interior spots. He's going to learn center. Brad Davis obviously very big at cross training. He obviously knows how to play guard with a lot of time there. You like Dellinger and obviously Miles Frazier, but they're not, oh my God, you can't replace them guys by any means yet. And obviously center, we have well documented. They are going to put in any options they can to find the best guy, whether it's Martinez, Turner, or if Lunsford proves he's good enough there. But yeah, I don't know if people should look at Lunsford as he's coming in to start guy, but I think it was a really smart signing. But yeah, I don't think I've ever, since I've been on this beat, this is going to be my 6th season, ever seen an LSU line where I'm like, this should be a strength of the team. And that's where we're at. I mean, you're at a point where you finally can say hey, Lance Hurd, you're the second team. You're maybe rotating in as a 5-star. That's a really good place for them to finally be. You have 2 of the best tackles in the conference, period. And you have options inside, even if they're not elite. You got 5 or 6 guys that you at least kind of like. So I think they're in a really, really good place there. Credit to Brad Davis.
Probably an unfair question at this point in the schedule, but just kind of forecasting. Is their best 5 Emory Jones inside, having the ability to move him inside so you can, I guess, be more athletic? I think that they ultimately want Lance Hurd on the field, right? I mean, he's too good to keep. He feels like Emory Jones. He feels like Will Campbell. Yeah.
So I think we're on the same page there that it's like long term, yes. I think we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves there, because Emory Jones and Will Campbell being ready to do that day one is a unicorn thing in the SEC. And Hurd is a stud. He might be. I haven't seen him since he's got. We'll see what happens when he gets to LSU, and I'm not being he can't. Yeah. But yeah, I think long term that's going to be such a fun thing, and I would love to get Brad Davis or Brian Kelly just completely honestly, not the politicians' answer on what they would really like long term there. Because I think that's the answer. I think that makes the most sense. I think Emory Jones he's a very good tackle. I could see him making a ton of money in the NFL as an elite guard. So I think it makes sense on a lot of levels. And like you said, athleticism is such a big thing. That's also a thing with Kelly's offensive lines historically. He wants the most athletic line. He loves making a tight end, things like that. So I love it. I wouldn't expect it too much this year just because this is a team competing for an SEC title. And I don't know if you're let's rush the freshman. That's a really good option.
It's incredible what he has done to the offensive line in just over a year on the job.
Yep.
I mean, it is amazing what that unit feels like now.
I know it's like I have to remind myself to be a little fair, right? Like I'm giving them the credit, but to be a little fair, it's like they did Louisiana suddenly produce 3 top 100 linemen, and like that is rare. Like I gotta like remember that, but I will also be the first to say it's not like O did not get high ranked recruits. He got a bunch, and they didn't develop. They had other issues off the field. Like there wasn't like a proper evaluation or development. It's hard to really say what it really was. And I think under a year under Kelly and the 2 years with Davis, you are seeing guys actually get better. So it's a bit of both.
What'd you make of Jimmy Lindsey getting a defensive line job? How does he fit in?
Yeah, just talking to people around LSU, they feel. I think the word "total package" was what was used, and you don't want to, fall into the hype, the PR train. But still, I think they like him because he's young. He's a really good recruiter. He's proven he's a good recruiter, but he's also developed guys. And I think it also works that most of his focus at South Carolina was with the D tackles, that front three, and that's the beauty of having John Jancic, is that you can get somebody who specializes in that. It's not like, I think it's tough because I think so many people were expecting a Bo Davis or massive names to get there, and I think Brian Kelly doesn't really view anything that way. He's just going to do is they took a month on that. They did their due diligence. They kept it pretty in-house. Jimmy Lindsey's name didn't come up too much until the very end there. So it's hard to really pinpoint a guy, but he's grinded. He's come up the right way. He's been recruiting guys at a lower level. It's something that I know a few different LSU people told me they were really excited about. That he's not somebody who's only used to working at the biggest of schools. He's done it small and he can do it big. So yeah, they like him, but it's hard to make too much of a guy who we haven't seen that much of.
Mason Smith looks like he's on a revenge tour, and quite frankly was ahead of a schedule when I saw him in spring and the way he was moving. What are you expecting here in year 3?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, his rehab just looks like it's in perfect shape. He looks like his athleticism has never in a million years been a question, but he just looks like he is in just perfect kind of, not to sound weird, like kind of shredded, just perfect shape. And yeah, I mean, it's a bummer that we missed that second year of him, that he couldn't show 2 years of tape to NFL teams that this guy might be one of the best D tackles in the country. It's a shame. And I've been burned because I've been hyping him. I'm not original, but we've all been so high on him, and now it's year 3 and you still want to see it. So you don't want to go too high. But yeah, I mean, he should be, in my opinion, the actual first or second best player in college, defensive player in college. Should be. That's what he's capable of. And I think it's going to help even more that he has such a good front seven around him all of a sudden. It's going to help. I'm fascinated to see what Matt House wants to do with him and Mekhi Wingo, because they play the same role. Obvious semantics, and how much do you get a 2D tackle set up with both guys lined up straight on the guard? How creative do you get? Does one of them go inside and one goes more on 3 technique? But having those options, having Perkins behind him, that's going to open stuff up so much for him. And more importantly, of course, Smith is opening things up for everybody else. So Mason Smith should be Jalen Carter. He should be Jordan Davis. He should be that superstar. And if he's healthy, I don't think there's any reason he won't be.
Harold Perkins sees a new role in spring, and his role looks like it will be developed here in year 2. How do they use him? How do you anticipate Matt House plays him in his second year?
Yeah, it's a spring game, so obviously bear with me. But man, everyone had their understandable questions about why are you taking him away from something that showed how special he was. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, but you're also now getting him involved in more plays, putting it the inside. So at the end of the day, talent's talent. You just want him near the ball. You want him making plays. And I was blown away just watching the spring game how natural it seems to him. That's obviously his natural position. But there was 1 or 2 plays where he just burst in between a few linemen, but kind of slithered between them. It was there wasn't really an opening, and then just snapped up for the tackle for loss. I mean, obviously he had 1 or 2 blitzes where he could still show that pass rushing ability, but come up the middle and just blow up a running back and set up a sack by, I believe, Wingo maybe. I think that's going to be a picture that people realize. And I think the fun thing to follow, kind of like the Wingo Smith discussion, is Spates and him together. Yeah. They are both very versatile, very sideline to sideline athletic guys. Both are guys that can cover nickel and can rush off the edge. And the spring game, they didn't show a single thing. But I did notice there were a few times where I don't know, Spates would be on the slot receiver and Perkins would be inside. Then a motion happens, and then Spates kind of moves to the inside and Perkins goes to get the slot. And I think that's just a little a reminder that they can be kind of malleable. They can probably get really, really creative with moving one guy off the edge, one guy on the inside because they are both so talented. So I think Perkins is only going to raise his stock as an inside guy because we know he can do both. And Matt House isn't going to make him just some boring stack linebacker. He is going to move around constantly.
LaTerrence Welsh became the popular name that everybody was kind of gripping on after the spring game. Did you hear anything about him during spring? Was there any talk of maybe anticipation of him making a move during this part of his career? Because I know he came in highly regarded a year ago.
Yeah, I think most of the word I got was just that he's steadily developing. I don't think anyone's like, this guy is ready to be the guy. He's just kind of, he's in good shape. He's going to, maybe next year be a guy. And I will, not you, but I have to remind myself a little bit that he looked awesome in that game. But most of those were kind of second team reps or I don't know. I'm not downplaying LaTerrence Welsh. I'm just kind of, they're necessarily I'm going up the league reps. So I think he's a guy to be excited about. He's a guy who I think is on the right track by all indications. And that's a really good thing. If he's your fourth, corner or your fifth outside corner, that's a really good place to be. I still think it'll probably be the transfers earning those starting spots come September 3rd. I think I've been I love Zy Alexander. He was my guy the second they got him, just watching him. And he looked really good to me. He looks physical. I mean, TaviTavi‌ano's not going to play on the outside this year, but man, I'm just blown away by Javian Taviano and just how physically impressive he is. That guy is hitting people like a junior or something, and he's a true freshman. He's going to do big things, I think, a nickel or safety. And then the question mark remains, though, okay, what's going on with Denver Harris? Why was he in the second defense? Is that Kelly just being you got to earn it, or is he not really is not showing what you want? I haven't heard that in depth much on that situation, but I want to see, is he good enough to actually be the starter we all expect?
Yeah, you mentioned the true freshman who came in. Which one other did stand out to you that maybe gave themselves an opportunity to play in the fall?
In terms of corner?
No, just a true freshman, an early enrollee.
Yeah.
You mentioned Taviano.
Well,
because I agree with you.
Yeah, Taviano just. I'm kind of blanking for a second. I think Taviano was definitely the one that stood out. I don't think any of the receivers, which is pretty normal. Receivers is a position that, in our head, we think should just be able to come in and play. But I think there's a lot of data of showing, your Jamars, your Terraces, a lot of time, or Kayshawn even, end of freshman year is usually when that happens.
Right.
So none of them really showed themselves. McGowan, I think, showed some good stuff. But again, I don't have too high of expectations necessarily for him. I'm kind of blanking because I feel like there was another impressive Trey Holly did some nice stuff, yeah. But I feel like there was a defensive player that did something else too, and I'm just blanking. But no, Taviano I think was the only one.
Was it Ryan Yates
or Weeks?
Yeah, Yates just
or
Weeks. Weeks looks really good. I mean, Weeks is going to be in that second team. You could almost argue that the Weeks brothers are your second, linebacker, which is they love both those guys. And Yates, I don't know if he did much in the spring game necessarily, but he looked good all spring. Kelly's excited about him. And again, back to the Taviano thing, both those guys do not look like freshmen.
I agree.
They are 200 plus. I think Yates is even more than 200, and they are just built ready to play. If their IQ's there, they can see the field. So yes, LSU would love to have a transfer at safety, but I do think Yates it's not the end of the world if he's your third safety.
And throw Deshaun Womack in there. I know he didn't play. He wasn't on the field, but he was another one that running over there alongside Mason Smith. I had no idea.
Yep.
I had no idea Womack was that big. I didn't know he was that physically.
I know, and that's gonna be the really interesting wrinkle because myself included, I think we all thought hey man, he might win the jack spot, that edge rusher spot, and he still might. But I think lately there's been more of a sense that he might be more of a D end and more of an actual defensive lineman because, to your point, he is big. He's bigger than I thought. I don't know if he's bigger than LSU thought, but he's going to see the field no matter what, whether if it's this year or the next 3 years. He's going to be a player. I just don't know if edge is actually the spot for him because he is so impressively physical. Maybe he's the Aaron at that DN spot.
Last one on the team. We'll get you out of here. Appreciate your time this morning. Great stuff with Brody Miller from The Athletic. Make sure and follow him on Twitter. Read his work at The Athletic. He's got a great podcast that you can pick up on Spotify as well and catch up with. And he's covering golf over there now at The Athletic too. How concerning is these special teams issues, especially from the place kicking standpoint?
A little. Sure, especially when you are if there's anything like I feel like I learned from those McMahon years and like run years you'd call them, is how much special teams are the margin between like an 8-4 season and a 10-2 season. That was so clear in those McMahon years. And I don't think kicker's an F or anything, but it's a C, and or a C minus. And if you're talking about a team trying to win the SEC, trying to win a national title, that is a problem. That it's such like Ramos was a perfectly serviceable kicker last year, so I don't want to make it seem like it's like they can't trust their kicker, but it's you don't know if you can trust them to go win a game and from 47 or something, and that is a problem. So I think that's a problem. I feel better that everything else has been improved. Punter's in good shape right now with Bramblett and a lot of guys back because they were. I think the part that gets forgotten so much, that special teams unit, that I will, even though Polian takes blame for things, like some of it's not always his fault. He was getting asked to throw a ton of really young, not necessarily guys in there on like the little stuff, special teams that we don't focus on. That led to a lot of issues. Now you have more experience there and you have more bodies there. So I think you will see, and you obviously add Aaron Allen return. Greg Clayton's a nice guy. So I think overall special teams is in a much better place than it was a year ago, but play remains a big issue.
Brody, if you were casting a vote on today's poll, which way would you lean? Do you leave your car running when you pump gas?
I do not. I don't know if it was a wives' tale, but I was always told that was like unsafe.
Me too, Brody.
You turn
I'm sure it's not unsafe.
So you turn your cell phone off on flights.
You put it in airplane mode.
I airplane mode it.
No,
even
you
though
don't,
I know that there's been,
Brody. That's no chance. You're a reporter.
Hear me out. I know now that like it's been made clear like it's not actually bad for the plane or anything. So like, but like, there's nothing I need to be doing. I'm probably like watching a movie on the flight or like podcast. So I airplane mode it. Who am I hurting?
You're right.
You can't do anything when you're like.
Do all of you leave it on?
Anyway.
We just don't fall for the if you don't turn it off, the place is gonna blow up.
No.
I don't believe
install
that.
the engine out.
Right.
But
Easy.
No,
easy.
I'm totally with you.
He's
there.
passionate about this one.
I have strong feelings on following
This interview is over.
Who was the best act you saw at Jazz Fest?
I actually wasn't there as long as I wish, but Buddy Guy, just because Buddy Guy is just, you're like, oh, I got to see Buddy Guy, and he doesn't look great, but then he can shred. So it's like that was awesome. Yeah.
Thursday was the weather. It doesn't matter who you would have watched up there. It was beautiful. With a cloud in the sky.
Especially because the next few days. Nice little surprise. I saw you. You were vibing. You were just like you had just an energy about you. Just like, man, it's Jazz Fest, baby.
Stim was starting to kick in. Brody, great to see you, buddy. Enjoy the day. Thank you.
As always.
Later, man. Read his work at Brody A. Miller. Man, that was 30 minutes of a deep dive into LSU football. Hopefully, you had all of your questions answered there.
He's unbelievable.
By Brody. He's the best.
He knows everything
he's the
you
best.
could ask him.
I'm telling you, he's the best. He is the best that covers LSU football. And LSU has always had solid beat writers. I mean, for a minute there, they had Ross Dellinger on the beat, which the guy, now is the lead college football reporter in our country. But, they have always had solid, good information getters at right now, I think, is another one of those ages with Wilson Alexander and Brody Miller specifically covering the day-to-day beat of LSU football. Those two guys are as well connected as you can really have on a beat of this size. LSU football is a monster. To cover the whole thing, to hear every story, to try and keep your thumb on everything that's coming out of the program, not just the football news, right? Even some of the drama that's happening. It's a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week, 365 gig, and LSU's got good ones, man. And Brody Miller's, in my opinion, he's as good as you'll find.
I'm loving
anywhere.
that y'all are in the minority for this gas pumping thing that you railed on me about for being a girl.
No.
Y'all did. Y'all said it was a female
First off,
thing.
I said that.
You said that.
So just because I had 2 points. Yeah, don't look at him. I'll take this one. I had 2
Sheesh.
points of reference, both of which were female. So I was like, this might
Balls barbecued on the daily,
all
man. Y'all
these
leave me alone.
references.
going to Woodville.
The cell phone thing, though, they do say on the plane, it drains your own cell phone battery if you keep it on.
No,
'Cause
is that
once you're,
right?
like,
No,
way-
Apple does that when they come out with a new model.
Well,
and
yeah,
you've
they
had
do that
yours for
too.
long enough.
That is not a joke.
That's
Like
not a
that's
joke.
not. There's no theory to that. They got busted and
All
had to serve a
kinds of
class
stuff
action
starts messing
lawsuit.
up.
And nothing's happened. They've
No,
not
they did
changed
the same
anything.
thing.
I indeed had to get the new phone because my old phone would like die within
I mean,
2 hours.
when you think about it, it's a great business
I mean,
model.
it's
Yeah, it
smart
is.
as
Never-
hell.
yeah, the
Like,
Bohannon,
it's just,
they'll never
I mean,
catch us.
Absolutely.
They do it to AirPods.
No,
too.
no,
Suck the energy out of them.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
he's got an iPhone 6. Oh, he's not for
They'll-
long.
They'll let you call in and get like support, or take it to the freaking Genius Bar and get it repaired.
Yeah,
but
spend
no
your
one
entire
wants to do
day with
that.
the Genius.
Yeah,
and then
no one
spend
wants
your
to do
entire
that.
paycheck with the
Yes,
Genius too.
they're doing it with AirPods.
Have you seen
too.
our watch selection?
Oh yeah, have you seen the new?
It connects
icon
to your
mode?
phone and to your computer.
Have you ever heard of screen sharing?
Except you got to buy a new cord for it.
Yeah,
No, I haven't. Can you please inform me on screen sharing? How does it work?
Not like that.
You don't hit that button, do you?
Don't go to the photos. No.
That's the other thing that's a joke is you get the new phone, like then you have to get a new charger,
No.
and
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
come with
Oh,
the
that's-
phone.
that's
and
the
it's
racket.
like,
See, they
That's
got
the
me.
racket,
See, I
boy.
didn't know that
That's
the
where
new
they got
phone
you.
didn't come with a
That's where they got you.
charger. Had
And then
buy
you have to
the-
get multiple chargers for
had
all
to
your
buy a
charging
case.
needs.
Got to buy a screen protector.
Yeah.
Like,
and then the laptop comes with the new charger that you have to get. And this was if you watched like the Steve Jobs or like read his book, this was his entire business plan. He was
Absolutely.
like, you make them addicted to the product and you make it so good, then you start slowly weaning them off of what they're used to make it just this is the one thing that only works with this.
Well, and it's
And
not
he's a-
discouraging me from
It's just
buying
a
Apple
higher.
products.
It's a higher grade of crack.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like once you become addicted to this, this
as
is
if
all
this
I know.
cord is going to hold me back.
yeah.
But
Give me the
like-
new one.
$100.
No matter how mad you are right now talking about this, are you switching to a Droid?
No,
Hell
no.
no.
That's the
Hell,
thing,
yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. You make it to where it's just this is what
And
the
what?
new normal is.
Send a
I
green
know.
text?
Yeah.
Are you out of your mind?
we get so mad
Get left out the
about
group
it.
text? Like, who's this loser?
I know.
Texted me on the side. Like,
You've
bro,
blown the group text.
Bro, you just messed the whole group up by
Yeah.
having the.
Speaking of having to buy higher quality crack, you see that guy that was selling drugs? They became legal in a certain country, and he opened up his own like mom and pop shop. He got arrested the day of, but he started. He immediately had a plug and was selling like crack, cocaine.
Where?
A fentanyl. I got to look it up, but I saw it yesterday, and he got arrested. But there's
Was this the guy with the vending machine?
yes,
in his house?
no, not a vending machine, but he had a sign outside, and he was like,
Wait,
Drugs.
why
"Here are
did
your
you do it?
prices." Because it was legal. They decriminalized it, and he was like, "Well, I'll get in front of the
All
game."
of
I
those
mean-
drugs are legal wherever he was selling.
But they're not legal like that
crap.
yet. Like I think you're supposed to go to a certain like.
A dealer.
Yes, I think you're
Like
supposed
a
to go like
pharmacy.
through
I
like.
mean,
Yeah.
I frequent Relief Med a lot.
Yeah, Capital Pharmacy.
Monthly.
Yes.
Capital Wellness.
Know where
over
it
on
is.
Picardy.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Know
know exactly where it is.
Every single time I go there, and I go there a lot, there is lines out the door. I mean, newsflash, people love weed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think this is breaking news, but I mean, like, I told the owner, I'm like, you need a bigger boat. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
y'all need a bigger facility.
Are
And
they
I mean,
moving?
yeah, they're cracking. I mean, they're supposed to be opening up the facility
Crack?
like in, not crack, sorry.
Wait.
Lloyd's Ed.
Yeah.
Well, I was just reading the article about the Canadian man.
His head popped up.
Oh, it was in Canada.
Drugs.
All that's legal in Canada?
Yeah, everything's legal in Canada.
love
You can
Canada.
do whatever you want.
I want to go
Marcus
there. I wanna
Stewart,
live- I wanna
Team
live
Android. If Marcus, get out the
Oh.
group.
Marcus, oh no.
Yeah, we can't see your chat. Out of a
Yeah, we
mobile, he
can.
began selling the drugs on Wednesday out of a mobile trailer park in Vancouver's downtown east side, a neighborhood with a high rate of drug use and concentrated. I mean, he knows his locale. Location. Make it easy. He had planned to open his store after Health Canada decriminalized the possession of small quantities of hard drugs in the province of British Columbia earlier this year as a part of a 3-year pilot project, and he got arrested same day.
So it was like Vancouver?
Mm-hmm. And so it's basically like Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah, sure.
And he just got, good idea.
I
He
mean,
put it
Good
together
idea,
quickly.
yeah.
Give it 3 years.
Yeah, it'll be back on the street.
He'll be back up and running.
The
So,
man
like,
of the
how
people.
long is he in jail for? Is this, like, really
Oh, he's
bad
probably
for
in and
him?
out.
Yeah, I think you got to go the same day, and he'll probably get out because it's not illegal, I guess. But
I know, but
more
why did he-
reports to come. I don't know why you would sell fentanyl. That's tough.
Fentanyl is
know.
serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, why are you selling all that?
Stephen Miller asked if we heard about the Bob Huggins situation in West
Yeah.
Virginia.
We talked
Wolf.
about it this morning.
Bobby Huggins.
Huggy Bear.
I have always been a huge fan of.
And no longer can be.
And I mean, is known for his brash ways. I've always loved the way he just kind of dressed on the sideline. He's always been anti-suit guy. Even when they had to wear suits, Huggy wasn't wearing a suit.
He would sweatsuit.
He was going like it's too much though.
Well, I think over the last couple of years, he's let his body go. I'm going back to his kind of Cincinnati days.
His shirt is huge. His shirt is humongous.
I mean, yeah.
But yesterday he was on a local radio show in Cincinnati.
Oh, I got the.
Nah, I don't
No.
We don't do that. We don't do that.
Jesus.
We don't do that.
No way.
We don't do that.
Oh, damn. I didn't know he said that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah,
there's a point where you can listen to it, and there's a point where you have to cut it off.
Yeah, I'm out.
And the poor radio guy, like, he's trying his best to navigate these waters, and he's just like, like chuckling along, and then it becomes, all right, we'll be right back. Not with Bob Huggins. Like,
I mean, it is.
But why does he throw Catholic in there? I know Xavier's Catholic.
I don't think he knew he was on the air.
Come on. I mean,
wait, Xavier's Jesuit.
Yeah, it's Catholic.
Is that Catholic?
Yes.
Jesuit is Catholic?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the same thing, really?
Huh?
I didn't know
So Bill Cunningham is one of the oldest sports radio hosts in our country. I'm telling you that. I think the guy's been on, I think he's been on for 50 years. And Bob Huggins, and this is in Cincinnati, Bob Huggins was Cincinnati's head coach for a while, right? And there is a crosstown rival between Cincinnati and Xavier that I guess has existed, and that Huggins got caught up in, some of the rivalry stuff. And yesterday on Cunningham's show, Huggins was asked about it, and he made some comments that, like Lloyd said, I don't know if he thought he was off the air, but I mean, this was this was obviously a radio interview. I mean, this guy, like I said, he's been hosting radio for over 50 years, and him and Huggins obviously have a very good relationship. You can tell just by the way that they're bantering back and forth. But he made a homophobic slur on the air, not once but twice. After a cuss word that just was, I mean, it stopped traffic, right? I mean, like I said, Bill Cunningham, that guy, he's all about dirty jokes. He's all about, kind of pushing the line of ratings and wanting to be a little bit, rigid, but obviously this is something that you can't do. Huggins has issued a statement. West Virginia has issued a statement. They have not fired him yet. I don't know how in 2023, actually, I went back and referenced Dave Portnoy's press conference and what he was saying, just about how these corporate suits are telling them it's non-negotiable.
Yeah, there's the line.
This is not happening. If you keep this guy on staff, these are the repercussions that can happen to the business.
And we can't be associated with
you. And you can't be associated with that. At a college and a university in today's age, I would imagine that this would be one of those lines in a leadership role that you can't cross.
Well, it's just
I would even think as early as 15, 20 years ago, you could come out, issue this statement, and kind of move on.
Really? I guess so.
I mean,
that's wild to think about, right?
I would say that the real charge on
what
PC,
you say, right?
Yeah.
Kind of what is said in the public and what is allowed in the public has really changed its course in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it has. You're right.
Right? I mean, it's taken a real big turn in the last 5 years. 20 years ago, I mean, you think of some of the things that you would hear,
listen to an Eminem song
and laugh about, or
Or
that
say.
Saturday Night Live would bring to light, or things. I mean, that's why Entourage is having such a hard time.
Yeah, that's right.
Really coming back and trying to reboot. I mean, think about that. For people that watched Entourage, and I did. I watched it during that time. What was that, 04, 05, 06, during that time, right?
Loved it. Obsessed.
That's what they made their life on.
Yeah,
you know what I
that's
mean?
true.
Was dirty jokes and
jeez.
God, why?
Left his wallet.
And
he can't change.
You don't have my keys, do you?
Just wallet.
Once a quarter, bro.
He doesn't have his car keys on his key set, so he has his car, just no keys.
It's a dangerous game.
It is.
It's dangerous game.
How did you get here today?
No, I never lost the car key. I just lost like the janitor keys, which everything.
But he doesn't put his car keys on the janitor.
Yeah,
yes.
the master key. The master
Good luck today.
Look sharp today, bro. What you
Yes.
got, meeting?
What are you doing?
Corporate Mikey.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Really important
Oh,
stuff.
what a life. Really need my wallet for
the high
this.
tax bracket stuff.
I play 18. Which
Man, that's some first world
That's
problems.
amazing.
New battery for my golf cart.
Amazing. Mikey Matuk, everybody.
Live every Monday and Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m.
Right.
We got Jay on Wednesday. We had just the boys yesterday, but we had Dougie T on Friday. Crushed it.
Nice.
Get a little more questions about the pitcher staff to Jay today.
Okay, wait. Back
We'll
to
talk to him
Huggins.
tomorrow.
Back to Huggins. So
Uh-huh.
he just got inducted in Naismith last year, right?
I
past
can't
year.
speak on that.
2022, I
Did
think.
he? Did he?
Plus, he put out, or his attorney put out this nice statement. Then the school has to put out a statement. So that was all yesterday. So surely he'll get fired today, right?
I'd imagine that behind the scenes.
But I think that's why it wasn't like immediate. Because you're probably like, I mean, I know there's like not a whole lot of excuse, but you're like, God, this guy though.
Well, I mean, I think you're like Bob.
I know.
Yeah, how old are you?
Bob.
Yeah.
You know better, right?
And if he's,
And it's
if
so
he's
flippant.
claiming he didn't know he was
that's
on air.
And that's the part about it, is that it's so he kind of just rolls off his tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's just how I talk.
And then he's like making sure if you didn't hear me the first time,
I'm gonna say it again.
like I'm gonna make sure and say it the second time. I mean, it's like, yo, Bob,
I was like, you could have gotten away with
Do
it.
you like your job?
Are you trying to get fired?
Do you think he really didn't realize he was on air?
No chance.
You think he knew? 100%?
And they had the West Virginia coaches caravan later that day, and he would not. He was scheduled to attend. He did not go, which is probably for the best. And he also was hanging out with Tom Brenneman, who also stepped in the same.
He was hanging out with him.
He brought him to see the team in 2020.
Okay,
And so
well,
he
this is
running in the
before he was
similar,
fired,
but
yeah,
running in the
yeah.
similar circle, somebody that stepped in the same.
Yesterday,
account.
Huggins said, earlier today on a Cincinnati radio program, I was asked about the rivalry between my former employer, the University of Cincinnati, and its crosstown rival, Xavier University. During the conversation, I used a completely insensitive and aberrant phrase that there is simply no excuse for, and I won't try to make one here. I deeply apologize to the individuals I have offended, as well as to the Xavier University community, the University of Cincinnati, and West Virginia University. Damn, Bob, you stepped in it. As I have shared with my players over my 40 years of coaching, there are consequences for our words and our actions, and I will fully accept any coming my way. I am ashamed and embarrassed and heartbroken for those I have hurt. I must do better, and I will. As far as apologies goes, that's a good one. But
he's done some pretty crappy stuff over the years.
Oh yeah.
I'm reading about now.
Bob Huggins comes with a little bit of Bob Knight.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a little bit of Bob Knight in Bob Huggins, and for as unlikable as Bob Knight became at the end of his career and into kind of his broadcasting life and into now into as he kind of fades away. Huggins has a little bit of that too, and he's not as far brash as Knight was, but there is a sense of, I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking. I'm not going to bite my tongue.
Yeah.
And I've got no apologies for my thoughts.
Yeah.
That in today's world, man, it just doesn't play like it did in 2002.
But how dumb are you being a public figure and not realizing
dumb.
that? You're living in today's world. You
There's no
see it
excuse.
happening all around you all the time.
No
So,
excuse.
yeah.
There's
wow.
nothing. There's nothing that can be said that would make this okay.
Yeah.
You know
No.
what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
like, Bob, this is a Monday in May.
You don't even have to come in today.
Like, you don't even have to be doing this.
Yeah.
And what are you talking about
Where
Xavier
are you?
Cincinnati for?
What planet are you on,
As the
Bob?
West Virginia head coach? I mean, this is like Dawn Staley wearing the Randall Cunningham jersey as the South Carolina basketball coach. I mean, like, what are you doing?
What message
Why?
are you sending? Who are we talking
What
about?
is this? You don't even have to do this.
We weren't even talking about it. I don't know where you. It's like he wanted to mention something about it, and then he just kind of started yammering.
It was like an old
joke,
or just like an old almost fight that he hasn't settled.
Yeah, he hasn't
it's kinda
resolved
like,
it.
Let me get my
2 cents.
Let me get this last word in. It's like, bro, like when you were at Cincinnati, nobody's even at Xavier that was there. You know what I mean? Like,
whoever you're fighting with
I would
is
probably
dead.
venture to guess that there would be half the population of Xavier didn't even know you were the coach at Cincinnati.
I didn't even know that. You know?
mean, he coached Kenyon Martin.
Oh, wow.
I mean, like his Cincinnati teams were, nasty. Awesome.
If Kmart doesn't get hurt.
Awesome. I mean, like they were loaded, bro, and had some personality to him.
Oh, no doubt.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, Kenyon Martin is not one to be played with.
Oh, they've got the audio of it on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, don't play that.
Don't.
Well, I'm not really.
I
mean, come on.
Dewey has it. You have it. I have it.
Jeez.
If you haven't heard it.
I mean, I've heard it.
Oh,
I haven't heard
blew
it.
my mind.
Me too. It blew. It blew. It's exactly what we were talking about a couple of days ago.
Yeah, this takes all the heat off.
Like when,
Mitzi.
like.
News cycle never stops.
I mean, I'm telling you, the most frequently asked question I get from people is, how don't you slip up and cuss? How don't you slip up and it's hard not to say a cuss word sometimes. Now, on this medium, it's allowed us to be a little bit more liberal with that. And then, people are like, well, I mean, how do you not say things that offend people? Well, look, I mean, you open up a microphone for 2 hours a day, every single day, you're going to offend somebody. But there are lines and words and deliveries that are going to like make people want to fight and will offend people to a point that you're really kind of like calling out their lifestyle, which we got no point in doing that. We got no right to do that by any means. This is just who Bob Huggins is. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't just like, hey, I'm going to do this for the radio.
He wasn't doing a bit.
Yeah, this was a Monday. This was a Monday afternoon. And look, the word it's terrible. It's unforgivable, right? And in the tone and the way that he said it, it's very like.
He uses this every day.
And it's also like, Bob, I mean, do you want out?
Right.
I mean, like, are you pulling your own ripcord here? Because it's like.
Said 2 or 3 cocktails deep.
What do you want us
I'm
to
not
do
going
with
to
this,
yeah.
Bob? Like, what do you want us to do with this? It's
sabotaged.
Monday, May 8th. You don't play for another 6 months.
Nobody was talking about Bob Huggins yesterday until they were.
And you get into the news cycle by saying this? Like, Bob, we're going to have to get that key back.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to come in today.
Yeah,
like,
man,
right? It's
this
over.
This is not
Don't
gonna
come in
work
tomorrow.
out.
Yeah.
We love you, Bob.
Yeah, Bob, we like you a lot, man. But
we knew you, but we didn't know you.
Right.
Had an idea.
Or we really knew you, and we told you that this could screw you.
We just said not to say.
We knew this was gonna happen, Bob.
Yeah.
We tried to save you.
And Bob might be the most surprised person. It's either he was trying to get fired or be like, oh, what's the big deal?
I didn't think that was a big deal.
Like, Bob. Moving you down to the basement.
Not happy, Bob.
I got a meeting with the Bobs.
It's like The Incredibles.
Go ahead and take that 2 weeks leave, Bob.
Not happy, Bob.
We'll be in touch.
Like, I wonder if he did wake up surprised. He's like, "Well, what Twitter? What? I'm trending?"
No.
Wake up surprised.
I think whoever issued that statement for him
really had to talk.
And whoever told him this is the statement that we're going to have to publish told him there's a highly likelihood that you're not going to get that job.
99.9% chance
that you're
not done working.
The reason why you're trending on Twitter, Bob, is because you're about to get fired.
Do you think it was the school or his agent that was like, Bob?
Oh,
we're done.
No, I think the school told the agent.
Yeah.
Can you please notify your client that?
Also, write a statement.
Right.
Put out the press
You guys issue the statement.
I mean, it probably was the radio host after they went to commercial. Like, Bob, you're done, right? Like that was the last words you'll ever say
Bob,
as a
I'm
head
sorry
coach.
that I had you on today because this was your.
I told you I didn't want to come on.
Death wish.
I
I
can
mean,
only
like,
imagine his agent like listening to that live, like
sinking.
Fuck, this is bad.
It's over.
Is bad. This is done.
Yeah, it's
Bob,
good.
go look at that 401k. Make sure it's right because you're going to buy a boat.
Go buy something.
Go pump gas with the car on.
Yeah, Bob. Smoke a cigarette while you're doing it.
Yeah, what she did was way more inflammatory.
Ash that cigarette into the gas tank. See what happens.
Bob sounded like he did not
See if he
care
catches
a
No, he
lick.
didn't.
He
That's the
cranks it
thing.
in the middle of pumping gas.
Oh, I mean,
yes.
what he did is probably more dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
All right, everybody, have a great day. A Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. We appreciate you being there. Don't forget about Katie's Restaurant down in New Orleans. Stop in and see our friend Scott Craig and his crew down in Katie's. Great menu. St. Louis-style pizza, New Orleans-style favorites, cold beer over at Katie's. They also have a sister restaurant, Francesca's. Francesca's by Katie's. Located in Lakeview. All of it online at katiesinmidcity.com. katiesinmidcity.com. Enjoy your Tuesday. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning.
Maybe Bob was gambling, and he was like, this is an easier way out. Maybe so. Like, oh, it's coming for me anyway. This is my last piece.